I sit in a different way this morning. I sit in another room that is very important room because it was so very hot weather, and I was drinking very much water yesterday. Today is it colder, so it's a normal summer temperature here in Sweden, and so I have to take out the water from my body today, so I took a medicine pill for to do it, whereas I was very swollen in my legs. And this morning I wake up. I was in this between wake up and be awake, and it was like I was talking to someone, a spirit thing was it, but I was here on earth. I was not in a spirit, but I was talking with someone in the room that I didn't see, and it was about I come to know. It was so I got the lightning and enlightened more this morning, because it was it was talking about that I'm going to visit Israel. I hope to not visit Israel. I hope to live in Israel, because I have this damage on my pancreas that creates so much error in my body, like diabetes and psoriasis and high blood pressure and all the organs. It's affect the organs. So I know in Israel they are much better in what's going on with pancreas, and if I can live in Israel, then it's free. They have free health care for those that live in Israel, have a permanent address in Israel, and that I hope to get, because yesterday the man in Israel, he said that to me, that he have a room for me in Israel, and it's in up in the north in Galilee Sea, Tiburn, and so that is clear. And in the morning it was like this, that it says, this voice was saying that, and I knew it, like we were together in this, that I was accepted for the first time ever since God come and talked to me in year 2000. Is it someone that accept me? And I think he have a pure mind. It is not a really hiding agenda, but he have I read yesterday that he had his mother in another country, and she should come to her son, and he asks if someone want to help him with his mother. He wanted to hire someone, and I wrote to him that I don't need to have any money. I get the money, but I need a place to stay at, and I need to have this address that where he lives as my permanent address, so I can get health care, so they can look at my pancreas. Really, Sweden, they have helped me as much as they can, but they only look at it the whole time, and then I get the medicine for psoriasis, and I get that every third month. So I am going to. There is 2 limits for me to go to Israel. I don't want to say visit because I want to stay there, and it is that I need to have this injection just before I leave, and and then I have 3 months there where I can ask for help in Israel, or else I have to go back to Sweden, and I'm going to have my apartment here in Sweden, and see if I can have both. If I don't get help with this injection for my psoriasis, I have to go back to Sweden every third month. So it's good to have the apartment still, or if I can get all help in Israel, I will live there, and it make everything come together. Everything that was from the start in year 2000. Well, I repeat myself for you that have listened at other episodes, but for those that is new to listen, I tell that in 2000 I was on my way to make a suicide because I was very haunted of the devil, and I didn't know God, so I didn't know how to protect me from the attack from evil spirits, and I was married in that time, but my husband didn't help me at all, so I was on my own, and my husband, he had been he was a member of a church in the United States, but he go away from it when he was laying at the hospital, and no one come to visit him, and he was with the Nazareth Church, so he went away, and then he be a follower of the devil instead. God lost him, and now he's dead of AIDS, and then just maybe 1 hour, 2 hours before I should go and kill myself, I was truly on my way to make a suicide. It was not a crying for help, because there were no one to help me. That's what I was thinking. It was no one that helped me. So it's the best is only to go into the sea, because we maybe was 20 step from the lake, and I was thinking I'll go there and kill myself. But it doesn't happen because God didn't wanted it. Or else I have to say that is this man that come first when I it sounds like I have cramp, but I'm water coming out from my body, so I press it on sometimes. It's lucky that it's not television. So the higher priest that I thought, I don't know why I was thinking like that, but when I start to think about it, I was already in the United States, and I have started to go to churches. So in that way I was thinking in that way, like the church was believing in and thinking that Jesus Christ is like the Lord of everyone, to all of us. But he is not the Lord for me, because I have a higher priest instead. So I am in the more exclusive staff members taking care of me, so that he was standing in my home, this higher priest, and he was talking about my childhood, and he explained some things that have happened in my childhood, and I was healed because he was talking about it. Even if I talk about it in my podcast, is it not that it hurt me? It's something, a testimony, and for you to know who I am. And so when he stopped talking about my childhood, and then he took the spirits that was with him, they come through. So I was talking to my father that had passed away 30 years earlier, and I forgive him what he was doing, and there was more people, spirits that come through and talk to me. So this is what happened to me in the recordings. I'm not shocked over it. I'm happy for it, because it was already in year 2000 that the spirits come and talk to me, but they didn't. They go through this higher priest to could talk to me. So he have the control. The higher priest had the control over those spirits that come, and allowed them come and talk to me. And after he was talking to me about my childhood, he went away, and he disappeared. He doesn't walk. He disappeared only in the air. And then I heard a great voice in the air, but I didn't see who was talking to me. And that was God that was talking to me. And And in that moment, when God come and talk to me, I lost my ability to could read a book. I read books very much. I was to the library and borrow books. I read the whole time books. But since 2000, when God come, I can read a little, but I can't read a whole book. I can't read a whole page. It's only some lines I can read. And people have say it's something wrong with you, and they have given me books to read, and I say I can't read the books, and they don't believe me. And but it's what it is. And then this morning, I understood that God. I was wondering why I was in illness, because my body was okay. But when God come, when I started to walk as homeless in the United States, I started to get illness in my pancreas, and I get psoriasis in April 2001. I understood there was something wrong because I had this on my skin, and I didn't know what psoriasis was. But I found out it because I was to a doctor, and he told me. And then I was thinking about this. Why did God make me be bad in my body? Why? The first thing coming in my mind just now, the first thing I know, because the pancreas make me not digest food. So I was overweight when I was homeless in United States. So I didn't look like I was starving, that I didn't have any food. It doesn't look like I was needy. And that belonged to the test, because they only look at how I look on the outside. I was clean, had clean, nice clothes on me that I get in United States, and I take a shower every morning, and then I was overweight, so they couldn't see it on my outside. But if they have taken some time to sit down with me and wondering where I'm coming from, because most of the churches was black churches I was in, so I was the only white person there, and they never sit down with me and ask who I was. That's how they could understand that I was very needy. But they only look at my outside, and that is something you have to go through to be accepted into heaven. It's going to be a hard time for you when you have people around you and you never going into wondering why, or have you coming into my life, or where are you coming from? And in the United States I was working sometimes. I got some jobs, and one time I was in the office in a place. I don't remember what place it was. Maybe it was Lily Vernon. And I say that I can tell that this woman really loved God. And I say that to a woman in the office. You really love God. I pointed out her. And her co-workers heard that I say that. And the woman that I pointed out, she said, "How can you know that? How do you see that?" She said to me. I said, I only knew, but I didn't know in that time that the Spirit was talking to me. But I suppose the Spirit was telling me that this is one that really want to know God. And she come to me and start to talk, because they always when they find out that I walk with God, they always wanted something. They had needs of money most of the time, and they want me to pray for them to get more money, like that. It was 90% was about money, and this was black women, and the other women stand up and come close to us, and she said, we have worked together in 5 years, and I never knew that she was so much into God. They have not talking about the most important thing in life, that how much they love God. They were, this about the Bible say, if you are ashamed of me, then I am also ashamed of you. That if you're not talking about me, I will not talk about you in the court and help you in the heavenly court. So so that's what happened to me, and I understood that this pancreas illness I have in my body, that I got from God. And people have said that no, God doesn't give you illness. Instead, He heals you. But they don't know my walk. And I didn't know my walk, so I couldn't defend God in that way. But today I know that He gave me the illness for 22 years later, that I have to be forced. They push me from heaven that I need to live in Israel for to could get help of my problems with the pancreas, and they are very good in that. And in that way, I be forced to live in Israel, and that is what my ancestors want me to do, and that's why everything is coming together. Because 2016 was I in Jerusalem. I repeat now the same thing I have told, but this is very important to know that I was in some way someone, but I think it was from heaven. They told me I should go to a museum in Jerusalem, and it was museum of those that help the Jewish people, was it about. And and then in the end it was 3D tree, and it come out picture of first unknown people, then it was known people, and then in the end was it us that was there in the museum. They have taken a picture of me before we started to walk in the museum, and it come the picture of me, and I have the picture on my refrigerator today because it's all very special, and the voice come, and I don't know if it was in this 3D or if God was talking, someone was talking to me from heaven, because it says that in some way we are connected to each other. In some or another way we are connected to each other. And I don't know what it was in that, but you can hear God talking to you. And then is it someone on the side of you that hear also God talking. And then when you're talking about it, then God have a message for that person and another message for another person, and in the same time. So it doesn't need to be in some way. I understood that I should do my DNA in that moment. It say that we are connected, and I was not interested to find my family tree, because my mother had done already a family tree, and it was nothing interesting in that family tree. But as I knew I should do it, so when I come back to Sweden, I did the DNA test, and I found out that that family tree my mother have, she have paid for them, this expert to do her family tree, and they have read the church books in the wrong way, and it was not these people, and you know that people can tell you that he is the father of my child, but maybe that child is have another father, but that man is going to be written up in the church book that he is the father, but someone else is the father. And that what was going on in my family tree. I remember that my mother had told me that her parents didn't know their fathers. The fathers was unknown. But by DNA, I could trace them down and know who was the fathers. And those fathers was the lineage down to Israel, and they were rabbi, they were higher priest, they were founder of churches all in this lineage, and that people doesn't don't like that I say that many was royals, nobles, and I have my lineage, my DNA is going down to the royals in England, and it's going into the last Tsar of Russia is going everywhere of inside the royals, Romanov family, and so they can hide in books, but the truth is laying in the DNA. So, and that's why the many doesn't like DNA, because it tells you where they are coming from, and that's why it have been hard in Israel to have accept the DNA test, because it's reveal where people are coming from, and then they found out that they are not Jewish, and they claim to be Jewish, and because there is a very much benefit to move to Israel and tell that you are returning Jewish. They got very much help with money and houses, and it's in the law that they should own a property in Israel, those that is returning, and they get about now I counted 10 times from the Swedish money, and in dollar they get about $10,000 to start with, and then they have the property, and it's very much benefits to test, to say, and showing paper, and we know it today with all these fake things, hacks and these things, that those paper can be faked. Someone is relative to someone in Russia, Ukraine, or wherever they are from, and they can get the stamp on the paper that this is true, but it's not true. But the DNA, if they do the DNA on those people that claim they are home returning Jewish, then they will know the truth. And that is so much against to do DNA test on people. So they're playing with these lies, because I suppose that there is lies in their life also, that they don't want it to be a show with, so they deny everything that have with DNA test to do. So this is something new that are coming up this morning, that I understood that my pancreas, it what I am telling you, it sounds like it's very evil to make me have this. In the beginning, before I got the medicine, I was screaming out in the night of much pain in my body, and that I have this going through hell with this illness, but in the end it's gonna be good. So don't be angry at God and say that he had done these things, bad things, but you don't know the plan God had for you. So it took me 22 years to understand that now I see that I can harvest this suffering and pain I have had in my life, because I see it now, where God wants me to go, and that is to live in Israel, because I have. It says in my DNA that I had 25% Jewish, but that is what they can see, because many of my ancestors have to convert to Lutheran church for to could live here in Sweden. So they can't say, they in many ways they try to hide it that they were Jewish because of all this hunting of Jewish people. They changed their last name and their sure name. They change it to hide. They go into secrets because of what people are doing to them, around them. We have to learn much from it. They wanted only to live a normal life, but there was so evil around it. So they have to go into caves and hide. And they hide even today, because it's coming up in many countries now that they are against not only Jewish people, they are against other religions and other countries they're coming from. It's so much hate blowing up, and it is time for me to move from Sweden, because it can happen now. In September is it election here in Sweden, and we have those that love Hitler and don't understand, because they hide with their outlook and they say great thing. And that was, if you know Hitler, he did the same. He was very good in the beginning, but then he started to show his real agenda. No one understood it from the beginning, what should happen. And they infiltrated into very wealthy people. They were visiting royals. They were visiting the Swedish king, and they infiltrated everywhere, and people didn't see it coming before it was too late to see it. So that is what is on its way to happen now. So the only place where to hide is to go back to Israel, and that was what my ancestor want me to do, so they can come with me. They're coming in the spirit way and talking to me, and they are with me in my DNA back to Israel. So that's it's amazing what's happened in the morning, that I understood all this illness I have in my body was to force me to go and live in Israel. God bless you. Thank you for listening.